There wasn't much of a struggle. I was genetically gifted. I was tall, I was good looking, I was popular, I was great at sports. My family gave me everything externally, including a shit ton of love. And I envy the sharpening. I don't envy what they went through, like the pain and the struggle and not having it. I don't envy that. I'm very grateful for my upbringing, but I envy that sharpening, that refining that they did, that they had to do to get to where they are now. I had everything growing up, and that might be a problem. Let me explain. Let me give you the story. So for work, I interview top athletes from around the world internationally, and I talk about their story, I talk about their struggles, I talk about, the man they are today, what they like to do, what defines them, their mentality. And I've probably done about, I don't know, close to 100 of these. And every so often, I talk to a man who is at the top of the game now, like a top tier world class athlete. And they tell me about their bring up and their story growing up. And every now and then I run into a few guys who lacked a lot growing up, whether it be their finances, whether it be maybe they weren't genetically gifted, maybe their circumstances weren't favorable, parents, didn't have a lot of money. They lacked. They lacked growing up. They didn't have certain things, and they started a lot lower than most people in the beginning of their lives. And it's amazing to hear the decisions they made when they were young and going through these struggles and hard times and trying to get through life, and how it forged them into the man they are today. I remember one of them said, "I'm so grateful that I lacked when I was younger because it taught me resilience. It taught me how to find the strength inside of me, and it made me into the man I am today." And all these guys I interview are very successful people now, financially, status wise. I mean, you name it. And it kind of struck a chord with me because I feel very different from them. I'm an only child, and I got raised with a lot of love. A lot of love, almost too much love. There's no such thing, I think, as too much love, but so much love, man. I was the only child. Christmases were amazing. Um, my, we never struggled for money. We were middle class. My mom was a teacher. My dad, I remember I found a few years after he died, I remember I found him. He was writing like his wish list or his vision board for, I think it was like 2008. And it said like goal income, like make $80,000, $70,000 that year. So it's not like we were rich, but I didn't lack anything. I always got kind of what I wanted from my parents in terms of like material things. Always had, a roof over my head. Genetically, I was very gifted. I was, on the charts of being bigger, stronger, faster at the doctor's office than 99% of the kids, in my demographic, in my age. Um, Even my friends used to come over and make fun of me because, I didn't even have to do very many chores. Like I had a life as a child, 0 through 16 years old, that filled with so much love, so much love. And I don't ever really remember lacking anything. Um, Another example of not lacking is we went to this like specialized dentist who was working with professional athletes, and they were developing this special mouthpiece that would be molded to your teeth and to your jaw. And, they would do these tests on us. Me and my dad and a couple other kids from high school, we went over there because I was really big into football, basketball, baseball at the time. And we're doing tests, and they say, "Okay, Hart, turn your head all the way to the right." So I turned my head all the way to the right. And they said, okay, now put this mouthpiece in that's going to help you turn your head further to the right. And I put it in, and I got a little further, and then we did more tests and more tests. And it was pretty much, if you wear this mouthpiece, it aligns your jaw, which aligns your spine, which aligns your body. Everything just feels better. It just increases your performance as a young kid trying to, go to that next level. And I was in there with two other high school football, basketball, baseball buddies of mine. And it was at the end of the presentation, and it was time to talk about price. And the dentist said some ridiculous number. He said something like, or we asked, like, how much is this? How much is it to purchase one of these mouthpieces specialized by you? Like, what is this all about? He said it was like $1,500. And I remember my dad, I feel like he hesitated, but then he said, yeah, because he always wanted me to not feel like we were, didn't have enough. And come to find out, he was behind on money. He actually was going bankrupt, but he was passing, and he just wanted me to have whatever I wanted. And that's another thing. I grew up with a father who for 10 years was getting told by the doctor you could die within the next year from your colon cancer, from your cancer. So my dad lived very just very free with money. He didn't we in my life 1 through 16, I didn't ever worry about money. My dad would just kind of give me what I want because he was getting ready to leave this earth, leave this planet. He knew like almost any day was his last day. So I had a lot of stuff growing up, and I was very grateful, and I was surrounded by love. But back to these interviews. Now that I'm 30, 31 years old, it's funny how I say 30 now. It's like I almost don't want to say 31. I can't believe I'm 31 now. It's so crazy to hear these guys talk about how they had the exact opposite of my bring up. And then I look at their lives now after they tell me their life story, and I'm like, that's badass. Like, you had to go through it at a young age and pick your own self up and push through and make your own money and do all these hard things when you were younger. And they're just like these dope ass strong men. And, their lives didn't come easy, and mine did. And I feel like a lot of these guys I talk to, they're more of a man than me. And that does make me feel, it makes me question a lot of things. Especially the wonderful woman I'm with. I want to be the strong man that she needs. And I'm not saying I'm not that strong man, but I definitely think having an easier bring up and not lacking anything made me a softer man. And when I interview these guys, I wish I had a little bit more of that inner forged strength through the years of lacking. It's attractive to me. I'm like, damn, I like that. That reminds me of like the superhero movies I watch, or like old, like the Troy, for example, with like Brad Pitt, just that tough, gritty, inner strength, hard story. And look who I am now. You can relate that to any movie or story you want, but I envy that. I envy the struggle. I envy the struggle. I know back then I wouldn't have envied the struggle. Shit, I was, when almost everything was kind of handed to me, and I did work hard as a kid, but like I know for a fact I had more handed to me than most kids. And it wasn't even really, it wasn't money. Like my parents didn't make, I went to school with a lot of kids who, parents made way more than me or my family, but there wasn't much of a struggle. I was genetically gifted. I was tall, I was good looking, I was popular, I was great at sports. My family gave me everything externally, including a shit ton of love. And yeah, I envy the sharpening. I don't envy what they went through, like the pain and the struggle and not having it. I don't envy that. I'm very grateful for my upbringing, but I envy that sharpening, that refining that they did, that they had to do to get to where they are now. And I feel like I didn't have a lot of that sharpening. I feel like their foundation, their base is actually a lot stronger than mine. And that's another reason why they, they built their own foundation. It feels like they built their own strong emotional base, that inner strength where, I kind of didn't. And it makes me think, would I be more disciplined today? Would I be able to go harder today? Would I be hungrier for success today? Would I be more disciplined in my life today if I lacked more growing up? I think I would. I would like to think young 10-year-old heart, if I lacked a lot, I would make a similar decision as these guys did when they were young, to find that inner strength within them and find a way and push through it and find that resilience when things got tough. Because not a lot of things got tough for me growing up. Other than losing my father at 16 to cancer, watching him die. I mean, like, other than that, like, life was a breeze. I remember life got really hard after high school, man. Um, and I know I can't go back and manufacture hardship. But I think it's important for me as a man to embrace that discomfort now, voluntarily, go after that discomfort and push through it. And I have been doing that. And it's very important for me to not get too comfortable. Maybe manhood isn't what you lacked. Maybe it's about what you choose to endure. What did they choose? What did I choose? Maybe the question isn't what we lacked. Maybe it's what we're avoiding now. What are you avoiding in your life that could help you become the best version of yourself? I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you soon for another one.